All right, let's talk about something that is quickly becoming a massive deal for anyone working with AI, managing risk. You see, there's a new official rulebook out there for the whole world, but as we're about to find out, just having the rules, well, that's the easy part. Actually putting them into play, that's a whole different story. So, let's get into it. I want to kick things off with a question, and it's a big one every leader should be asking themselves right now. Is your AI strategy built on sand? I ask because without a really solid operational foundation, even the most amazing AI projects can just crumble when the pressure of risk and regulation hits. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get to know this new rule for AI. Then we'll look at the huge wall that most companies are slamming into when they try to use it. After that, we'll uncover the missing how-to guide, see how it smashes through those challenges, and finally, explore the real payoff, which, trust me, is way bigger than just checking off a compliance box.
Okay, first up, the new rule of the game. And just to be clear, this isn't some friendly suggestion. This is the world's first formal official standard for how to manage the risks that come with artificial intelligence.
It's called ISO/ISC 23894. And what's so important here is the sheer scope of it. This is the first international standard of its kind, and it's built to cover the entire life of an AI system. We're talking from the very first spark of an idea all the way to the day you finally shut it down. It's a huge step toward bringing some much-needed order to the Wild West of AI.
But, and this is a big but, here's the problem. Having the standard is like someone handing you a map. That's great, but it doesn't mean you actually know how to navigate the terrain. In reality, most companies hit a massive wall the second they try to put these ideas into practice.
The first brick in that wall? Integration gaps. You see, companies already have all these rules and frameworks for security and for privacy. When you try to just bolt on these new AI rules, they often conflict and clash. You end up doing the same work twice, creating confusion and a total governance mess. Next up, and this one is huge, most places just don't have the internal machinery ready to go. They're missing the standard, repeatable processes, and the right people to actually do what the standard is asking for. They know what they need to do, but they have absolutely no idea how to do it. Then you've got the view from the top floor. If the leadership team doesn't really get the unique risks of AI, or even worse, if they just see all this risk management stuff as a cost center with no real upside, well, the whole thing is basically dead in the water before it even starts. And here's what makes AI a totally different beast. Unlike your typical software, AI models aren't static. They're alive. They learn, they change, they drift over time. Trying to manage risk for a moving target like that demands constant 24/7 monitoring, and most organizations are just not set up for that. The ripples from AI also spread way beyond the tech department. We're talking about customers, employees, the public. So suddenly, you have to juggle these incredibly complex and sensitive conversations about fairness, about transparency, about data, with all these different groups of people. It gets complicated fast. And finally, the paperwork. Oh, the paperwork. The standard requires that you document everything, creating a massive paper trail. Trying to do that by hand? It's a recipe for disaster. It just doesn't scale. And when the auditors come knocking, it's an absolute nightmare. So, yeah. That's the wall. It's pretty big. But what if there was a way to just dismantle that wall, brick by brick? This brings us to the missing piece of the puzzle, the how-to guide. It's called Integrated Process Excellence, or IPE, and it's the operational foundation you need to turn all those principles into practice. So what exactly is IPE? Well, you can think of it as a methodology for building the operational plumbing, the processes, the systems, the how that the ISO standard says you need, but doesn't actually tell you how to create. It's not a replacement for the standard, it's the thing that makes the standard possible. And honestly, this quote just nails it. Trying to do this standard without an operational framework like IPE is literally like building on sand. You can write the most beautiful policies in the world, but if you don't have the pipes and the plumbing underneath to make them happen, they're just words on a page. So let's get practical. How does IPE actually help you tear down that wall we just talked about? Let's go through it, brick by brick. Remember those messy integration gaps and doing the same work twice? IPE hits that head on with something called process integration. It helps you map out all your processes across the whole company so you can build one single unified system for governance that gets rid of all that redundant, clashing nonsense. And what about that problem of AI being a constantly moving target? IPE's performance measurement step is designed to build the exact infrastructure you need for that continuous monitoring. Think real-time dashboards and metrics that let you watch how your AI is behaving from one moment to the next.
And that biggest problem of all, having no operational foundation to begin with, that's literally where IPE starts. Step 1 is process identification. It's designed specifically to build that missing foundation, creating a standardized blueprint for all your processes. It's like pouring the concrete before you try to build a house.
Okay, so IPE solves the big problems. Check. But the real story here isn't just about dodging bullets. It's about what you gain. Let's talk about the payoff, because it goes way, way beyond just being compliant. Now, check this out. Normally, getting this standard up and running could take, 10 to 14 weeks? A few months, at least. But by using IP to build that solid foundation first, companies are getting it done 30 to 40% faster. That's a game-changing amount of time, money, and headaches saved. And the good news doesn't stop there. With this approach, you can scale risk management across your entire company, not just one little project. It lets you draw a straight line from AI risk to business results, which is exactly what you need to get your leaders excited. It makes compliance a sustainable, everyday thing. And maybe coolest of all, it takes the battle-tested discipline from decades of manufacturing and applies it to this brand new world of AI. So let's bring this all home. This is all about building your AI operational foundation. It's about taking something that feels like a chore, risk management, and turning it into a real, genuine, strategic advantage. So if you remember one thing, make it this. The new ISO standard gives you the what. It tells you the principles, the goals. But IPE gives you the how, the practical, on-the-ground playbook to actually get it done. And when you put those two together, AI risk stops being a cost you have to deal with and starts being a source of operational excellence you can master. Which brings us right back to that first question, but hopefully with a lot more clarity now. As you push forward with AI, are you building on sand and just hoping for the best? Or are you going to take the time to pour a concrete foundation that will support everything you build for years to come? That choice is what will separate the leaders from the laggards in this new age of AI.